That's right, it's Sunday here in New Zealand, the 11th of April at 8:30 in the morning. Yes, far too early, I know. Right, give me a second to get set up. How's the audio and stuff? We all good? Oh, look at that. Spot the difference. Yes. This is an interesting one. Simon's beating me to it. Good morning, crew. The new bushes are in. They are, Simon, they are. However, that wasn't the only problem. Roger, good morning, Andy. Good morning, Roger. So I haven't quite woken up yet. Steve, good evening, Andy. All, good evening, Steve. Good to have you in the workshop. And whilst we're on it, Steve, your new workshop looks phenomenal. Very, very lucky chap. Lots of room. More room than probably you know what to do with, to be fair. But yes, that is going to be a fantastic environment. You've got so much potential now to make some really cracking videos. Right, I think we're on. Mike Bazansky. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Now then, Mike. Good to have you on board, matey. Walter Johnkus. Greetings all. Good morning, Walter. And Simon. 5 pp, 5 likes, not bad. Yes, 5 people and 5 likes, not so bad. The core viewers. That's right. I'm sure a few more will pop up. So I've spent the last few minutes trying to kill flies. It's that time of year here in New Zealand where flies seem to come in the house to reside and annoy me. And of course, they come in the workshop. We've got the little flies app, I think, which works incredibly well because there's a lot of dead flies on there. In fact, there's thousands of dead flies on there. But this, oh, what's that? Let's go and have a look. Hang on a second, let's unplug you. Right, okay, turning around. 3, 2, 1. Dum 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 dum. Oh, it's raining a lot at the moment. Okay, we have the pie warmer. We found it. It was in the fun bus. So, oh, it's looking a bit black. Not the greatest cook. And probably almost. Oh, look at that. Yes, that's definitely warm enough. Hot, 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 hot. Jeez. Brilliant. Very happy with that. And it costs nothing because Mrs. Mechanic was going to give it away or sell it for next to nothing. So, you know, it's now a new addition to the workshop and I've got to find a home for it so I don't have to wire it up like that every time. Still terrible light flicker, isn't there? I need to fix that. Useless. So, whilst we're on, we're wandering around. We'll give that a minute to cool down because it's going to be really hot inside. What was the problem? Well, hang on, let's head over here first. So I've been, look at all that. I've been machining lots. I did this the other day. And that's, well, actually, that wasn't quite the finished article, actually. But that's sort of what it looked like. And then I decided, obviously, I needed to use a steel sleeve inside the bush. You can't just go straight on the bolt because when you bolt the whole thing up, well, it just seizes up. So, I don't know how to put the light on this thing, but hopefully you can see. No, you can't see. Hang on, let's go and get Torchy. Where's Torchy? There he is. Dum 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 dum. Torchy's on. Torchy is on. Okay, so if you look down there, can I stand him up? Probably not. Yes, I can. Right, so there we go. Look, two-handed. So we've got the little sort of top hat washer seal thing that goes on there. And then I did notice that when I was tightening up the nut a couple of times, I noticed that there was an excessive amount of thread protruding from the nut. I thought, maybe I've got the wrong nut, but no, this is the right nut. But as I was tightening it, it felt quite springy. It took a while to take up the clearance and get tight. It turned out that there should be a couple of additional washers. This one's slightly larger because I couldn't find the original one. Because you know what? Mrs. Mechanic had put a box on it. But anyway, so I've put a little thin washer in there, and which is not the correct one. That's actually the washer, one of the washers for down here, but it's the same thickness, damn it. And of course, the other washer is in there. You can just about see that. And once I'd done that, with my new bushes installed inside there, the phosphor bronze bushes, I was able to torque up the nut to 65 Newton meters, and it was a nice, you know, it was slack, 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 and then tight very quickly. There was no springiness anymore. And what was happening is it was pulling the frame in. Bad, eh? Yeah. So where's the manual? There's a manual somewhere around here. Let's have a look. Ah, you're going to feel the heat off that. Let's go around this side. Bit of a bench. It was under chassis somewhere. Chassis, here we are, look. Chassis, 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 chassis. Okay, rear suspension it was. Steering, rear suspension, right, 533. Oh, that was pretty close, wasn't it? And if you look down here, sorry about the flickery lights, you've got the original bearing here, you've got the seal, you've then got a washer, and then you've got the top hat thingy. That's how it looks on here. It's a pretty poor diagram, to be fair. Oh, this one's better. Yes, at this end here, you can see you've got the washer and then that seal. Well, actually, the washer didn't really fit inside the seal very well. So I've put the washer on the outside, but I think it'll be just fine. I don't see a problem with that. It all seems to go together quite nicely. And it makes more sense. Why would you put, because actually when you put the washer inside the seal, the rubber seal actually was not really in contact with the swing arm anymore. It was too far back. So by putting the washer on the outside, that was properly sealed. So there you go. The mystery of the swing arm movement is sort of fixed. There was also a bit of play. God, I'm wandering around today, Anna. Don't wander too fast. There was also quite a bit of play when I tried them on the bench again. Between those all balls needle roller bearings and the original all balls insert to the steel tube that goes inside, which I've continued to use. When I played around with that, there was actually a bit of play in it, so I'm absolutely not impressed by the all ball stuff at all. Very unimpressed, in fact. But the good news is the plan, I don't know, plan C worked. Seriously, there is absolutely no movement on that at all, but it does have some up and down movement. It does still, you know, do what it's supposed to do. So I'm very happy with that. And I think it should be good for years. That's the plan. Yes, good little bike. Oh, right, hang on, let's go back to the bench because I've got something else to cover later on. There we are, look. Oh, fly, go away. So, yes, that was the other day's job to sort that problem out. And I'm very pleased to say it's sorted. I hope we've got a whirly deck thing here. What's going on? We lost internet? No, we've still got internet. Are we still playing at your end? Hang on, bear with me, I've got to reload. There we are. That was weird. That was really weird. My YouTube crashed. There we are. Right, we're on. Hang on, let me just scroll back a bit because you guys have been doing lots of talking this morning. Oh my word. Golly gosh. Right. Jim Haynes. Good morning, Jim. Good to have you in the workshop. As you can see, I've changed the calendar to April now. No red tape required on that one, which was good. Now then, Jim Haynes. I am at our first sprint car race of the year in Shenandoah, Virginia. So I'll miss the live chat today, guys. Have a good time. No problem, Jim. Good luck. Fingers crossed. And, you know, finish the race and ideally win the race. Would be good. Simply Diagnostics. Steve, thanks, Andy. Been up on scaffold today, removing triffids. Boarding is nearly complete. Paint next week. Steve, don't fall off the scaffolding. Little story, actually. Scaffolding, falling off scaffolding. When we had the off-road centre, when we first started out, and we used to use the green lanes, we didn't have our own site, so to speak. That was a couple of years down the line. We used to use a little place called the Sedgwick Guest House in Hovingham, just opposite the Worsley Arms, I think it was called. I think it was the Worsley Arms, or was that in Helmsley? I can't remember. Anyway, Sedgwick Guest House. Fred was up on some scaffolding. He was the owner of the bed and breakfast, sort of semi-retired chap. And he was busy, I don't know, was he painting the walls or replacing a window or something? He was doing something on the outside at the front of the house. And, well, he fell off. And around the front of the property was the old school sort of English wrought iron railings. Yes, you're going to guess what's happened now. What's coming next? He fell off the scaffolding with the exact trajectory to land directly on the spikes of the wrought iron fencing. And I think one went through his cheek, one went through his arm, and another one went through some major part of his body, whether it was his leg or something, I can't quite remember. But the poor chap was in a really bad way for a long time. So Steve, don't fall off your scaffolding. And if you are planning to fall off your scaffolding, make sure you've got a nice mattress or something on the ground to land on, not spiky wrought iron railings or hoists or other things that are really hard with sharp edges. So that's my advice, Steve. Good luck. Mike Adams, hi all. Good morning, Mike. Jim K, pie. Yes, you've probably noticed that Andy's not the best cook. All I had to do was put it in the pie machine, turn it on for a few minutes, and of course, busy talking to you guys. Well, I actually set it for too long. I nearly put it on for 10 minutes, and in the end, I put it on for, I think, 5. So we now know that 4 is probably about right, but hey, it'll just add some additional taste, won't it? It's actually not too hot. So maybe I need to lower the rack down a notch. Right. Tom H. Morning from Australia. That pie is torched. It's a little bit crispy. Edwin Torres. Hi from Puerto Rico. Very nice, Edwin. Good job. Welcome aboard. Steve. Pie warmer. Awesome. I shall have one of those. See, great ideas for workshops. And it wasn't my idea. One of the viewers told me, Andy, you need a pie warmer. And you're absolutely right. Mrs. Mechanic told me that one. And it is, just to let you know. Different brand. The Bake Shack mince pie. It's all right. It's all right as an emergency pie. I would definitely keep a few in the freezer, just in case. But, you know, doesn't beat the old Wild Bean ones, that's for sure. Al Marine Velocity. Hey, Andy. Good morning, Al Marine. Good to have you on board. Mike Adams, looks like you need a kitchenette in your shop, Andy. I'm not really a fan, to be fair, of like foodie sort of stuff in the workshop. I once got asked to appraise a workshop which had an open kitchenette into the workshop. No, has to be a separate room. Can't, in a commercial environment at least, it can't. It can't. You're welding next to the kettle, you know, or your sandwiches, grinding, you know, all that kind of. It just doesn't work. You'd have to have some kind of a door, basically. So I think they took it out or boxed it in. I can't remember. Drago. Oh, this is a good one. Drago Vobovnik. Bobovnik. Is that right? Drago. I am looking for a lockable gas tank cap for the 2015 Yamaha Viking 3. Can you help me with that? Regards from Slovenia. There's nothing on the actual rotator, on the threaded part of the fuel tank to really accept any kind of a locking device. I think all you can do is fit some kind of a flap, because I think it sits flush. It's inboard of the panel work. So you basically just a hinge and some kind of flap, maybe with a padlock. If somebody's stealing your fuel, that's probably the only real way of doing it, because otherwise you just can't fit a cap to them. They don't lend themselves to a lockable cap. So you're going to need to put a flap with a padlock on it. I think that's the only way of doing it. Nuts Barsden. Hey Andy. On the swing arms, do you put a scale on them for drop rates? Harleys have a seat poundage of drop weight, for your information. Oh, sorry, a set poundage for drop weight. No, I don't. I just bolted up the swing arm bolt to 65 Newton meters, and off we go. And I've never done that. I've never even contemplated doing that. Interesting. Mike Adams. But hang on. I think Harleys, don't they have taper rollers in them? In which case you're measuring the preload of those taper rollers. So there's a reason for that. On this, well, it's got phosphor bronze bushes in it now, or the All Balls kit with taper rollers. Sorry, not taper rollers, sorry, needle rollers. And the original Suzuki stuff was little plastic tubes, which was just rubbish, basically. Mike Adams, do you have the same issues with your repair manuals that I do with the Haynes manuals? In the way that sometimes things are the wrong way around. I once, in fact, the first gearbox I ever rebuilt was on my Suzuki Beamish 250. And I think I was about 13 at the time. And, you know, I bought the genuine Suzuki manual, which you could buy for that particular bike. Although I think it was only an engine manual from memory, because it had a different frame and stuff on it, because being a Beamish frame. And I remember rebuilding the engine. Fourth gear driven had shattered. It was like a phosphor bronze. Oh, it wasn't phosphor bronze, but it was some kind of weak alloy gear that a mate of mine rode the bike and didn't change down, and basically it stalled out in fourth. He just ran out of steam, bang. And it was those pulsations that shattered the gear. I think he was going up a hill at the time. And I rebuilt the gearbox, you know, best I could at 13 years old and nobody showing me what to do. And reassembled it all, got it back in the bike, got it fired up, took it around the grass at home, and went first, second, third, fourth. When I went into fifth, the gearbox locked up, mechanical lock, and broke the gear again. And I was very upset because it was quite expensive for a 13-year-old to save up the money to fix his motorbike. So I pulled it all apart and I pondered, and I ordered the new parts again, and they turned up. But this time I tested it on the bench. I learnt the hard way. And with the engine flat on the bench, the gears were a bit iffy, fourth to fifth. If I put the engine on one side, no problem at all. Fourth would disengage again. If I put the engine on the other side, then I would get the mechanical lock every time. So to me, the fourth gear driven it wasn't located on the shaft properly. It was floating around, and I looked at the manual and compared the shaft and the layout of the gears and the circlips and bits and pieces, and it all looked correct. So I rebuilt it, and every time I rebuilt it to the manual, I got exactly the same problem. And I studied it in more detail. I started to learn how the gearbox was working rather than just copying what was in the manual. And it turned out, well, I felt that there was a circlip was drawn on the shaft on the wrong side of the gear. So I put the circlip on the other side. There was a groove there, put it on, and bench tested it. You know, just manually turning the gearbox. Obviously, the engine wasn't running, and it couldn't get it to fault. Put it back in the bike, and it was mint. No problems. Never had any more issues with it. So as a 13-year-old lad, I rang up Suzuki GB and I said, "Hey, I think there's a problem with your manual." And back in those days, we didn't have emails. I sound very old now. I had to fax them the diagram from the manual. So I photocopied the page, drew a circle on the circlip that was the offending item, and faxed it to them. And the guy from technical came back and said, "You know what? You are right. Nobody has ever mentioned that." Now, obviously, a lot of technicians that build up gearboxes, their experience wouldn't even look. They would just know how it went together. Anyway, the chap was very, very helpful, and he sent me a whole new load of parts for the bike and a few other goodies and bits and pieces as well for pointing it out to them. So that's a lesson that I learnt. Don't always believe what's even in the original, manufacturer's service manual. Mistakes do happen, and it's important that you think about what's going on. Wow, where did that come from? Harry Darg, hope everyone is doing good. I'm just laying here in bed. Right. Had a guy up on a power pole drop a sledgehammer and it landed on... What? And it landed on my neck? Holy that could have been really, really bad, Harry. Jeez, imagine if it landed on your head. It cracked your skull open, mate. Jeez. Well, just take it easy, pal. Connor K. Hey, Andy and crew. You mentioned at the end of the valve adjustment video that YouTube sends emails about new videos. I never receive notification emails. What? Really? That's weird. Maybe they've stopped doing it. Maybe. Maybe it's just a notification that plinks up on your smartphone or on your laptop now. That's a very valid point. When I first started doing the channel, it was emails because I used to get them for other channels. But you're right, I don't see them anymore. I need to stop saying that. Thanks, Connor. Dragging me out of the dark ages, as always. Gary Garnett, good morning from Dubai. At 20 to 1 in the morning. Gary, you are a legend, mate. Well done for joining in. Oh, note from YouTube. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Okay, I'll do my very best. Ed Z or Ed Z? Ed Z. Yes. Yes, what? Hang on. Yes is just a... Have we got another Ed Z? We haven't, have we? Ed Z. Ed Z. Okay, so Ed Z. Yes, thank you. Simon Roll. Oh, here we go. Look, still live. Yes. Oh, brilliant. That was when I was having technical problems. Thank you. I am so far behind. Gary Garnett. Yes, loud and clear. Mike Adams. Message retracted. Harry Darg. Neck. I meant to spell in so much pain and even spell right. To even spell right. Jeez. Honestly, mate, that's not good at all. Nut Barsden. Opening day of wild turkey season here in Delaware. Unfortunately, didn't bag one today. How can you not shoot a wild turkey? They can't be that quick. Simon, that's a barbecue pie. What do you mean barbecue pie? It's just a pie. I've never cooked a pie, but... Oh, you mean because it's burnt? Yes, that's right. Everything I cook on a barbecue is well done. Still tastes all right, though. In fact, it tastes all right. It does. And because I took it out of the bag to cook it, it's not soggy. I hate soggy pies. Mike Adams. Example of a Haynes repair manual. Step 1, disconnect the negative battery terminal. Step 2, open the hood. If you can disconnect the battery terminal without opening the hood, you're damn good. Very good. Cheers, Mike. Brendan Lee, Grant Mills, 2 videos in one day. We are honoured. I thought you would like that. Yes. Last week, as you know, obviously I filmed some more work on the CB750K2. We did the valve clearances, and we also did the new ignition switch and fitted the new plug on the loom. Thank you, Simon. And I was able to edit those videos whilst I was in Auckland. Yes, I stayed up till about midnight to get the second one edited up, and it was flawless. Everything worked brilliantly. So, massive improvement to time management for Andy Mechanic. I'd no longer have to edit videos at home on a weekend, which then obviously eats into available workshop time, and I do stress a little bit trying to get the videos out. Filming them is not really a problem. It's actually getting them edited up as well. But also it does put pressure on the filming side because you're trying to, I won't say rush it, but you're just trying to, you have to have enough time left to be able to edit it. And then I end up editing on an evening, and Mrs. Mechanic gets a bit grumpy because I'm not watching TV with her or spending time with her. So, which is understandable. So, I think it's a massive win. It really is. So, well, I've been waiting for about 2 years to buy that laptop, and it works brilliantly. Nut Barsden, Mike Adams, you gotta love the Haynes manuals. I have loads of old Haynes manuals in a big box somewhere. I should bring them in the workshop, put them in that glass cabinet. That'd be a good idea. Mind you, it would overfill the glass cabinet. There's probably about 100 of them. Peter Brown, 2019, can't wait to visit Moscow. 2021, watching a pom eat a pie. Fantastic. Yes, there's still not a lot of travel going on, is there, to be fair? Although I'm sure things will get better. Simon. Mike Adams, GSX teapot. What? GSX teapot. The Haynes had the timing 6 teeth out when you counted the links. That was a near miss. That wouldn't go down very well at all, would it? You'd be very upset. Al Marine Velocity, hey Andy, what electrical terminal crimpers do you use looking for a new set? Well, there's lots of different types of electrical terminals, and therefore lots of different types of electrical terminal crimpers. If you're meaning just the standard sort of Durite type yellow, blue and red ones, then I think they're in the drawer. Hang on, let's go have a look. In fact, yes, give me a second. I have 2 pairs that I sort of regularly go to, which I've had for years. Oh, there you go, look. It's even got the brand on it. CK. There you go, look. They're the ones that I use. I'm pretty standard, they're color coded. So you've got, I know the colors are almost invisible now, but you've got red, blue, yellow, obviously based on size. I only use those kind of, I only use those kind of terminals as like an emergency, to be honest. I much prefer those proper motorcycle ones. But it is pretty good. And it's got the little emergency get you out of jail free release if you've got a small enough finger. There, look. But yeah, they're pretty good. And there is another pair, which I'm not sure on the brand. There was, well, there maybe was a brand sticker on there at some point, but there's those as well, which are very, very similar. You know, they've still got the little get out of jail free. In fact, they might even be the same. Are they identical? Oh man, there's not a lot in it. Although the anvil's upside down between the two. Look at that. There's not much difference. There is a bit of difference. Never really compared the two. Just grab one out of the drawer. But those are my preferred ones, the CK ones. Very, very happy with them. Had them for years. Don't need to replace them. Do the job. So if those are the crimping pliers you're on about, then great. If they weren't, let me know. Steve, question on bike valve clearances. Go away, fly. Jeez. Are they normally as tight on your video, i.e. 0.05 for the intake and 0.08 for the exhaust? The ones I just did on the car were 0.3 and 0.5. Is it because bikes rev higher? That actually on the CB, compared to more modern stuff, is quite tight. I would suggest that because this is motorcycle and ATV stuff, because engines now run hotter, there will be more thermal expansion of the components, and therefore you have to start off with a bigger clearance when the engine's cold. Because on the newer stuff, the clearances, on the ones that I work on at least, are significantly more than that. But nowhere near as much as what you've got on the car. So I wouldn't say car engines are any hotter than bike engines, to be fair. They're all much and much, because they do that, obviously, Steve, as you know, for emission control and to try and get complete combustion. That's why engines are run a lot hotter these days, the main reason. Because they rev higher. I don't know. I mean, you don't really want any. The whole idea of valve clearance is once the engine's reached operating temperature, there isn't a clearance or if there is, it's absolutely minute because, you know, you're just enough for a film of oil, really. Simon, what do you think? What's your thoughts on that one? John, hi Andy. How far have you got with the new design of Tool Girl Holly's leggings? It's done. They are done. I'm not going to show you them though, but they're done. They're finished. Zips in and everything. It's great. It's going to be another few weeks. Well, no, it's maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks before Holly gets down. I'm just getting things sorted out and getting my jobs done on the DR. You know, because I can't do a video of making bushes with Holly. It would take like half a day and, well, two-thirds of a day to get it all done. And it's just not, it can be boring, to be honest, that kind of stuff. So machining, you know, it's not really action video, is it? But yeah, they're done. They look great. I'm very, very happy with them. Thanks, John. So you should get to see them in the next few weeks. That's the plan. Springy 2112. Nice job on the CB750 clearances. Just on my Bandit 1200. 16 valves, of course, but no buckets and shims, thankfully. I hate buckets and shims. Not good. Not good from a servicing perspective. Just good old adjusters. I see you got the 10% extra carbon pie. It's actually not too bad. It has got a tinge of carbon to it, though. It's still warm. It's good. Drago Vabobnik. Hang on, I did see another one. Come on, I saw a super chat. There we are. Look. Peter Brown. Thank you, Peter. I do very much appreciate that. Thank you. But no question. I don't see a question there, Peter. Pose a question. Ask me a question. Now then. Right. Drago Vobovnik. I was about to do what you suggest. Now I will do it knowing that what needs to be done. Already drilling. Don't drill through the fuel tank. God. And no smoking while you're doing it. William Brody. Hey Andy, back in an old episode, you changed spark plugs on a car. They said, yes, they said FOMOCO. I know this now. It stands for, I believe, and you are absolutely correct, the Ford Motor Company. Bill from Minnesota, USA. Thank you, Bill. Yes, I got bombarded by that information as soon as the video went out. I just didn't know. Don't really work on Fords. There you go. I mean, it's actually it's etched on the glass, the door glass, on the Ford Ranger, FOMOCO. And I know what it is. It's Ford Motor Company. Now, Mike Bazansky. I'm enjoying the Toolbox tour videos. Good work. Thanks, Mike. I mean, clearly not a real, viewer draw. Not draw as in Toolbox draw, by the way. But I thought quite a good thing to document, what's in the workshop at this point in time. And I mean, there's certainly one more episode to do. There's another one still to hit the channel. Episode 5 is these roll cabs down here, which is more, it's not really tools so much, it's more fasteners and bits and pieces. But, basically we're going through, it's like a drawer tour, isn't it? So we'll do those. And then there might be one more video, covering all the stuff in boxes around the workshop as well. So you're really getting a real good overview of all the tools that I've got. And, there's a lot of stuff that I don't have, which some of it I don't need. I only buy what I need. Some stuff I do need or will need in the future, but don't have. And that's all right, because that's the fun of going out and buying them. Harry Dog, I have a Kawasaki motorcycle and first gear doesn't even seem like it's there. but fine if you take off in second gear and the rest of the gears are fine. How hard is it to fix a missing gear? It's actually a complete engine rebuild normally. It's not an easy task. Although it may well be not the fact that the gear has magically disappeared. It may be a gear selection problem. And if you, first of all, get a service manual, you'll be able to download it from somewhere. Get a service manual, and if it's a standard configuration, you should be able to take the clutch cover off and you'll be able to see the little selector drum. There's usually a little metal wheel that drops into little recesses to locate it in each position. And it might just be that, oh, and there's also a little finger, a little claw usually that pulls it round on a pin. It might just be that the pin's dropped out, or there's some mechanical damage to that selector drum that you could even fix from the clutch side, possibly. That's where I'd be going first. And you'd be able to change, you know, obviously with the engine not running because there's no oil in it now, you'd be able to move the gear lever up and down and watch that drum rotate. And you might be able to work out the problem from that. If not, then usually there's little holes in the engine casing. If you get one of those little cheap cameras that you can put on your smartphone, you could probably even poke it through and have a little sneaky peek and look at all the gears. And from the manual, you'll be able to work out which is second gear drive and which is first gear driven and first gear drive. And you can have a look at those as well and see if there's any missing teeth, or if they have in fact just disappeared, which is a bit odd. That's what I'd be going first. But for the first job, get a service manual. Now then, but certainly an interesting one. Harry Dark, I have a Kawasaki motor. Oh, hang on, done that one. Roger Heaps, Roger, local Suzuki dealer borrowed a front diff for a King Quad. Turned out the reason the brand new bike they had not engaging four-wheel drive was because the factory had put a washer in incorrect order. It's easy done. It really is. Simon, my take on that, Steve, is that bikes are made lighter and smaller parts, so the valves will stretch more, hence a larger spec. I think stretch as opposed to starch. Good old spelling. Spell check. The IT mechanic. Hey Andy, good morning from India. Good morning, India. Welcome aboard. There's lots of motorcycles in India, isn't there? I keep seeing them on telly. So many motorbikes and scooters and stuff. Al Marine Velocity. Cheers, Andy. No problem. Peter Brown, thank you very much again for your £5 super chat. But do please ask me a question. I don't see any question there. Connor K. I used to buy Chilton's vehicle service manuals in my younger days. I've heard of those. I think aren't the American Chilton's ones. Found out later that it was all copy and paste, including images with a fair amount of omissions from the manufacturer's manuals. That's a bit naughty, isn't it, really? Quite a rip-off, considering the prices weren't that much different. I always prefer the manufacturer's service manual. There's usually a lot more information in there. Steve, the difference in clearances between car and bikes really stood out. I thought you'd made a mistake until I saw it in the manual. Got my brain whirring. Every day is a school day. It is. I mean, you're quite right, because, you know, a lot of bike mechanics only really work on bikes, and a lot of car mechanics only really work on cars. And it's those kind of differences between the two vehicle types that often not just get overlooked. You don't think about it. To be honest, you just do what the manufacturer says, set it to what it should be, and away you go. But you're right, every single day is a school day. Just get the fly out of the coffee. Right. Nut Barsden. Andy, do you have an opinion on aftermarket crate motors? I am shopping for a Longbach 5.3 for my Chevy Silverado. Unfortunately not. I have very little experience in buying crate engines, and if you could have a negative experience, then this will be it. I've never purchased any crate engines for American type manufactured vehicles. I'm just not the guy to give you any advice at all in that aspect. I just can't help. Wish I could. Maybe forums. Maybe somebody in the States could recommend. Maybe Jim. Jim K might be able to help, or Jim Hayes. But he's racing at the moment. Alexandra Freitas. Where's the hot girls? Well, they're not in the workshop today. There is currently only Tool Girl Holly as an official Tool Girl now. And she's due back in the workshop in the next few weeks. We're going to be working, or basically getting finished, the DR200. And I've already set plans in place for the epic DR200 tour of New Zealand. I'll be riding that bike. This is the plan, and obviously plans can change, especially in this day and age. The plan is to take the bike to the top of the North Island, which is just north of Kaitaia. I forget the place again. I always forget the name. Anyway, up there, the top. You can't miss it on the map. It's the top. All the way down. I'm going to ride the bike all the way down to the bottom of the South Island to Bluff. Cape Reinga, that's it. Cape Reinga at the top, all the way to Bluff. And the rule is that if there's a gravel road that can be incorporated in that journey to replace a tarmac road, and it sort of goes in the right direction, then we'll do that as well. I have done a similar journey before from Auckland, but that was to ride back as well, obviously, and that was about 4,500 kilometers. So it won't be that much. But I reckon it's probably going to be between 2.5 and 3, because to incorporate a lot of the gravel roads, you tend to go off, east or west, and you lose the southern content. I have sort of got parts of the route in my head planned. I need to actually sit down and work it all out to maximize the gravel road distance, because I like gravel. Gravel's fun. Plus, it makes it a lot easier filming because you can stop and start whenever you want. There aren't loads of cars around. And in all honesty, I think it's a lot safer, especially when you're on a bike that's going to really be topped out about 100 k's an hour. Which I don't want to be thrashing the arse off it. I'm not going to set any land speed records with the bike for sure, but it's going to be a fun journey, and it's going to be filmed, and there's going to be a few episodes. Mrs. Mechanic is coming along. She is support crew. She'll be taking the ute and various spares and bits and pieces, and we're going to be camping. We're going to put the roof tent on the back of the ute, and we can just stop wherever and camp and bits and pieces. So we've allocated, I think, I would say 12 days to do the actual trip down from the 2 points, north to south, and then 2 days to get back. So we'll chuck the bike on the back of the ute and then hot foot it back to back home. That's the plan. That should happen in December. So there'll be lots of live streams and bits and pieces going on that as well. It should be good fun. And it's just really to prove just how damn good the DR200s are. It's a phenomenal machine. They've been around for a long time, and I think they're really well built. In the main, apart from swing arm bearings. Right. Oh, hang on. We've jumped down. I must be at the bottom. Right, yes. So we've done the Hot Tool Girls. Holly will be back. Don't you worry. And we've got other things in planned potentially for the future for Holly. But it's very much in the early stages yet. I've got to get sign off on it. You can read into that what you like. Peter Brown. Please don't use it on another burnt pie. It's for neck oil. What? I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all, Peter. Sorry. Peter, don't use it on the burnt. Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, Peter. It's for neck oil. Yes, I have got a bit of a sore neck, I must admit. John N. Hello, Andy, from Connecticut, USA. Good morning, John N. Good to have you on board. Enjoying your Toolbox tours. You have a ton of stuff. It does seem that way, doesn't it? I don't think of it that way. I just have the stuff that I need. But when you start looking at every drawer and all the things, and you start talking about them, it can go on for a long time, can't it? Oh, I just saw a mouse. There's all sorts going on around here. Mike Adams, Connor K. I have an old Chilton car manual, 1967 to 1979, that covered all the big three, Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, that I inherited from my dad. Very quality and accurate manuals, all HP and torque of each engine. Horsepower and torque, that's nice to know. It's not often manufacturers put that kind of stuff out, especially in the motorcycle industry. Al Marine Velocity. You got any opinion of a Clio RS? Just got myself a Clio RS 200. Bloody hell, they are quick. I'm sure that they are. I'm sure they are very quick. I do remember, I don't have an opinion of that car. I have no experience of driving one of those models. However, as a child, we were Renault dealers. Parents had a dealership, a family business, and of course we sold the Renault 5 turbos. And before that, we were Nissan dealers, and we had the Nissan Cherry Turbo. Both ridiculously silly cars that you could have lots and lots of fun in. I remember Dad taking me to school one day, and I would have only been about 10 years old, something like that. So this would have been about 1982-ish. And it was middle of winter. And of course, he had to take the Renault 5 Turbo because, to get through the snow, why not? And the school that I went to was on a very slight crest of a hill on a side road. And what's the name of the school? And then the road dropped down, and there was a big turnaround point at the bottom. And I think you could turn right as well. Left was a dead end, but you could turn right. So Dad decided to go past the school. He came up to the school and initially planned to stop to drop me off, and then realized that brakes weren't an option because he was going way too fast in the snow. So then we carried on. We careered down the hill, and Dad's obviously busy with the pedals. He used to do a bit of rallying, busy with the pedals and steering wheel and doing stuff that Dad's doing when they're having fun. And I just remember the car going completely sideways, going down the hill. And as we approached the turnaround point, he was feathering the throttle and on the handbrake, trying to get the car to obviously spin round, but keep some kind of momentum to get back up the hill so he could drop me off at school and then get down to work. Because if we'd stopped at the bottom of the hill, I don't think we'd have got out. It would have been, and there were a few parked cars down there. This was very much close proximity driving going on. And, give the guy his due. He could drive. He really could. We were going down, another little story, we were going down the A64 late one night, would have been around midnight. We'd been to a tool show, believe it or not. And it was in his Nissan Silvia 1.8 turbo. Awesome machine, like a hatchback car it was. Hatchback, pop-up headlights and things. And we were doing well over 100 miles an hour, which was pretty normal for Dad. And he used to get quite sleepy when he was at that time of night. So we were very fast approaching the left turn off the A64, being the main road, to turn off to, I think it was Flaxton from memory. And, he was renowned for late braking. I wasn't too perturbed by it all. But we really got to the point where I'm thinking, we're going to miss this turn. We're going to miss. So I said, Dad, turn now. Left. This is the way home. So at that point, the car just went sideways down the A64 at whatever ridiculous speed we were going. And he just slotted it nicely into the side road and carried on as if nothing was wrong. How on earth we didn't end up in a field either side of the road, I have no idea. But the guy held on to it. I was most impressed. He was a really good role model for me when it came to driving. Unfortunately, I just can't do that kind of stuff in a Ford Ranger with an automatic gearbox and, well, you know what I mean. But he was a good driver. He was. He once rolled his Mini end over end 3 times when he tried to leave the pub car park and didn't. Cleared a ditch, end over end 3 times in a field, landed on its wheels, drove home. Legend, honestly. Didn't remember anything of it until the next morning. Opened the curtain. I think Mum opened the curtains. Morning, Mum. Saw the car in the driveway. Oh dear, what's happened this time? Yes. Yes. He had a lot of stories like that. He did break a lot of cars, did Dad. But when he pulled it off, it was epic. Sorry, Mum. I'm sure you'll be laughing your head off now, though. You've got to remember the good things. Right, hang on. Oh. Catching up. Right. So, Peter, I won't put it on the burnt pie. John N. Done that. Right. Off-road fan. Hello, Andy. I really like your Toolbox videos, but on the last one, my OCD went crazy. Yes, that's the one area of the workshop, apart from under this bench, which is due to get sorted out. That toolbox is the one area that every day reminds me to keep the workshop tidy. I know it sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? But, oh, a bit more pie, hang on. But it sort of works. I actually know where everything is in that toolbox. And I actually go in that toolbox on a very regular basis. I don't want to get rid of it. It's part of the history of my workshop, wherever that is in the world at any time. But yeah, looks a bit of a mess, doesn't it? But that's how my toolboxes used to be in the UK. It's only since coming to New Zealand that I've learnt tidy. Mike Adams. Oh, we've covered that one. What's going on there? That's weird. Done that one. Oh, I go all over the place, don't I? Sorry, guys. Hello, Andy. This is from Robert Hargrave. Hello, Andy. Have you had anything to do with marine diesel engines? The only thing that I have any knowledge about with marine diesel engines is years and years ago, when I was a young lad, I went with Miss Mechanic, this is before we were married, Miss Mechanic on a barge holiday. Yes, I personally couldn't think of anything worse to do with my time. I was an avid motorcyclist at the time and loved speed, adrenaline, and all that kind of stuff, and being able to go anywhere I want at any time. Being stuck on a barge that just goes dub, 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 down a very tight little river, where you can only go forwards and backwards, basically, just didn't appeal to me at all. However, I very quickly realised there were pubs along the way, so that was all right. So obviously, when I was given the helm, I think that's the correct word, when I was steering the boat, and everybody else was just enjoying themselves and relaxing, I decided to try and get the maximum possible speed out of it. It was fun to do something like that. So I wound it up to full throttle, which really wasn't a lot, and held it at full throttle for hours on end. Bit difficult to steer. It started to sort of flap around a bit, but anyway, I got over that. We ended up going on a few boughs of trees and stuff, and the girls that were in bikinis, they weren't over impressed. But anyway, it was fun for me. But eventually, we got to a point where when I backed off the throttle didn't back off. It kept going, and then it started to rev up more and more and more. Now, obviously, this is called running away, and the engine had decided, for whatever reason, to use its own engine oil as fuel. So by turning the throttle off, you're cutting the fuel through the injectors, but due to oil getting in the cylinders somehow, the engine continued to rev up. I don't remember what we did to stop it, whether it actually died or not. But I do remember there being plumes and plumes of black, acrid smoke all over this beautiful canal area, which didn't go down very well. To this day, I don't blame myself for it. I believe there was a mechanical problem with that engine, but I don't really know what the issue was. But I do remember a guy coming out and doing something, and then I think we carried on. I don't know. But that's as near as I got to a diesel marine engine. So I know not very helpful, but maybe a little bit of a story to make you laugh. Now then, Mike Adams. It's even had head-on photos of each car's grille, so you can identify each year of the car. That's brilliant. Steve, road trip sounds epic. Yes, and of course, you know, there's multiple places we'll be stopping along the way, meeting people, doing stuff, no doubt. But the main emphasis will be on the actual bike, how it does, where we are in New Zealand, middle of nowhere probably, and completing the mission. It should be a lot of fun. I do enjoy those kind of trips. I've done that sort of similar kind of journey a couple of times now with Ben. Had a great time doing it. And always things go wrong. On one of the trips, Ben broke the subframe on his bike because we put way too many tools in his toolboxes. He had some old steel ammo box panniers that we bolted to his bike, and we just filled it up solid. Too much, way too much. But we patched it up. We used some old tire levers and hose clamps, and you know, off he went again, fixed. I had a puncher. Danny had a puncher. We had all sorts of stuff go wrong, but we fixed it. And that's what it's all about. So a nice simple bike. Hopefully it won't break down, but maybe it will. Who knows? Second cigarette of the day. I don't smoke too much. Well, I should smoke less. I agree. Nut Barsden. Have you ever seen the video of the Shelby little red car that Barrett Jackson just found in Texas junkyard and restored? Amazing story. Very interesting. Was supposed to have been crushed. Wow. I do know of a story, and I don't know what make or model of bike it was, but often manufacturers will make what's called production vehicles, and they'll send them out to market to get some kind of feedback on the vehicle to see if it's going to be suitable for that particular country. So they'll make a few of them, and one of them was quite a highly tuned 250cc inline 4-cylinder engine. Bit of a race bike, basically a race bike for the road. And it was a Japanese bike. It wasn't a Yamaha, just for clarity. And it was such a secret that they didn't ask for the bike to be destroyed. They asked it to be sent back to Japan. No, that's wrong. That's wrong, actually. They did ask for it to be destroyed. So what this chap did, funny story, he completely disassembled the entire bike, including the engine. Everything was taken apart and thrown in a pile, and photos taken, and they were sent back to Japan. And that was enough for them to agree that it had been destroyed. And maybe it made it look like, you know, things had been cut. I don't know what he did, but anyway, he pulled it off. And then, of course, a few weeks later, took all the parts home, rebuilt the bike, and he even managed to get registered for the road. I don't know what he did to do that, but anyway, very, very, very rare motorcycle, which should really never have existed. A good little story, though. Interesting. Mike Adams. The only Renault car that really sticks out in my mind is the old Le car from back in the 70s and early 80s. Everyone I've seen aimed to quickly become a rust bucket. Yes, they did tend to rust pretty early. Rust proofing wasn't really a thing back then, was it? Steve, Renault 5 Turbo were awesome. Blue Raiders were epic. Blue Raiders? What's that? After that, the Clio Williams were my next favourites. They ran on rails, lol. I cut my teeth in a Renault dealer's. Small world. I was only a kid. I didn't really learn much about the Renaults, other than the fact there was a lot of warranty work. Simon Roll, Renault 5 Turbo, Renault 5 Turbo Diesel, and the Vauxhall Nova, cars of my childhood. It wasn't the diesel version I was really referring to there, Simon. It was the petrol version of the turbo diesel, the turbo. Phenomenal car, I must admit, and quite sought after nowadays, and so they should be. I remember Dad did sell the Cherry Turbo to my godfather's son, Paul. Paul's still around, unfortunately. Ted passed away, and it wasn't very long before the car blew up. Yes, he blew the engine up, blew the turbo, obviously making full use of it, maybe not warming it up and cooling it down properly. And I remember the car being parked in the workshop for quite a few weeks, if not months, waiting for parts. It was in a bad state. Not Barsden. These weekend live streams remind me of my time working at a Harley shop in Florida, sitting around, BSing, old stories, and trading knowledge. I love it. I do. I must admit, it's a nice thing to do on a Sunday morning. Harry Dark, no matter how many tools you have, you will always need a different tool because of the different cars that they have out now. Yes, I mean, there's a lot more variations, I suppose, and engines are always changing, and especially special tools. In fact, I made a special tool. Hang on, bear with me. Nothing special really about the special tool, just a tube. But when I was fitting those bushes to the swing arm, couldn't really get a socket to sit on properly, on the press. So I just found a bit of an old bicycle. I think it's a scooter actually, one of those little kids push along two-wheel scooter things, and this is part of the handlebars. And I just machined out the inside a little bit just to give it some clearance. But I think it's chromoly. It's not mild steel, that's for sure, and it's nice and strong, and it fit perfectly and did the job brilliantly. So now we have a new special tool look for swing arm bearings on the DR200s. See, it's nice having a lathe, I must admit. Steve, you need a lathe. Learn how to use a lathe if you don't know already. They're brilliant. Do all sorts on them. Lambros Stefanas. Oh, I think I said that right. Lambros Stefanas. Good morning, or whatever, everyone. Just wake up and I saw the live stream. Renault 5. I hate Renault. Their faults and strange construction, but the Turbo 5 was a rocket. It was. I'm not a real fan of Renault cars, to be honest. I much prefer my Nissans. I remember we had a 280 ZX Targa Top in the showroom for quite a while. That was a nice car. That was awesome, but it was too expensive for Dad to have a company car, or to have that as a company car. So it stayed in the showroom. Eventually got sold though. Remember the old 240 Zs? They were cool. Nice. They're actually a lot smaller than I remember as a kid. Obviously, I was smaller, so things seem bigger. Simon, you won't speed out of a canal barge, as it is a displacement hull. And you won't get speed. No, it just didn't go very fast at all. It was, but at full tilt, it was mildly more interesting than at normal speed. Jay Savage, good job. Connor K, about your adventure running the boat. There we go. I hope I can stand and watch with you one day. I hope I can stand and watch. Don't forget to bring the girls. Yeah. I don't know how Mrs. Mechanic will cope with that one. We will see. Mike Adams, your boat story made me imagine you were doing a Jeremy Clarkson impersonation. Actually, it could well have been Jeremy doing it impersonation. No matter what you're operating, more speed and power. That's what we need. I do like those lines. I often watch the old Top Gears. It's great fun, especially the adventure ones. Simply Diagnostics, Steve. Renault did a final run of the 5 Turbo. They were all blue and badged as Raiders. I didn't know that. We must have swapped to Subaru. Oh no, we hadn't. Maybe we just didn't get any of them. Maybe we didn't get any of those ones, or maybe I just didn't see them. I do remember when we switched from the Renault 5 Turbo to the Clio, and I was like, well, the world has ended. The Clio's crap in comparison. Didn't look anywhere near as cool. But to be fair, the Clios did go well, especially the performance ones. But no, I just like the turbo aspect with it, just the torque steer and the fact that you didn't know whether you were going to go left or right, and the wheel tramp, and just the sheer exhilaration of feeling that turbo kick in. Joe Nugent. Joe, ex-Kiwi here, stranded in Manila. Oh dear, great channel. I learnt a lot. Question. What are the vintage rules in New Zealand for historical vehicle registration? In Aussie, if it's 25 or 30 years old, you just pay $100. I think it used to be 25 years in New Zealand. I think it has gone to 30 years, somebody was saying. But you're limited to mileage. But it is cheaper regio. That's all I know. You'll have to drop onto the Land Transport website to find out what the current rules are. I've not registered anything under that category yet, but maybe the CB750 might get done like that, because obviously that's plenty old enough. Joe, per year in regio and taxes, as opposed to 500 to 600 for larger bikes. That's right, that I like. Just need to maintain a logbook and carry and can ride pretty much unrestricted. Yeah, I think like I say, you're limited to mileage. I think that's the most important thing. But being a vintage bike, the odometer's not going to be that reliable, so maybe it might stop one day and you'll get a few free miles. Joe again, looking to get early 1990s ZZR 11s, 11S or an FZ through, etc. Still capable of 250 kilometers per hour, so it's all good. Wow. Well, good luck with that. I'm sure it's possible. Simon. Yes, get a lathe. Make a tool for driving the crank seals in on my DT. Oh, you made a tool for driving the crank seals on my DT. They're just so useful. You can just make whatever you need. It's great. I still have an ambition to get a milling machine as well at some point. John Nuttall. Morning, John. My mate loves his Renault Zoe. It's been in the dealers for 9 weeks now with cabin heater issues. They need you, Steve. They do. There you go, Steve. There's a job for you. Nut Barsden. Yes, Simon. A lathe and a Bridgeport mill. You can make anything you want except a tool girl. Yes, I think that'd be quite difficult on a lathe. Lambros Stefanas. But you can make a tool for the girl. Oh dear. I'm not going to comment on that. Steve, John, send it over to my new place. Happily look at it for you. The heat exchangers, additional heat, are notoriously poor and don't really work from new. Well, there you go. There's a fly. I hate flies. William Brody. Andy, I have a 2012 DR650. What is your opinion on a washable oil filter versus a throwaway filter? I just go for the disposable stuff. But, if you're in the sticks, middle of nowhere, doing a big adventure ride for thousands of kilometers, then it's one less thing to carry, isn't it? Yeah, I suppose as long as you wash them out properly, it should be all right. But I don't really have that much experience with the washable ones, to be honest. So sorry, William, I can't. Simon, what do you think about that? Simon's very much into bikes and stuff, so he might know a bit more about the washable ones. Throw away. Oh, Jim? Come on, Jim. Come on, comments, catch up. I just saw one from Jim K. Yes, I prefer the throwaway ones, and I think Jim does as well, to be honest. Good morning, Jim. Good to have you on board, sir. A bit of cold coffee. No more flies. So, there was something else I was going to show you. Yes. Houston, we have a problem. Let's have a go for a wander. 3, 2, 1. Ping. There we go. Look. Right. So over here, as you can see, there is no wheel in the bag. Obviously, I've taken it out. And, well, this is one of 2 wheels that I have, and they're both identically knackered. So, the other wheel's in the car. It's going to go up to Auckland, and I'll explain why in a minute. Over here, I have a brand new rim to go on. Hopefully it won't fall off there. So a brand new rim, look at that for a shot, pretty good. Which is going to go on the other wheel. Now, yesterday, on the other wheel, I sprayed all the nipples around the wheel and attempted to undo at least one of them, and completely failed. Every single one, as you can see on this one, is absolutely rusted solid. So, I thought I'll send a message to my good friend up in Auckland, who is known as Tom Morris. Now, Tom, as you can see, does wheels and spokes and bits and pieces, and basically rebuilds wheels. Well, unfortunately, Tom doesn't do that anymore. Tom's retired. But he sold the business to a guy called Ken. And I've sent a message to Ken to say, hey, Ken, I'd like you, not that I can't rebuild wheels, but he may as well do it if he's supplying the spokes. I said, look, got a DR200 rear wheel here, got the new rim, I need you to supply stainless steel spokes and do a rebuild. And he hasn't come back to me yet, but I'm hoping to drop it off when I go up to Auckland. That's the plan, hopefully. Because the bike is going to be hammered. So it needs, you know, the condition of the spokes, it's not going to happen. I can't get them. There's no way I'm going to get them all undone without snapping a few. So that's even if I can get them undone. So it really is time. Oh, hang on, there's a fly. Hang on, I'll get the fly. Bear with me. Got him. He'll be dead very shortly. So yeah, that's where we are with that. I've got a new tyre, tube, rim tape. So once that comes back, I can get the rear wheel put back in. And so really, that's probably the last thing to have to get done before Holly comes down to finish the bike off with me. I am going to work on the indicator wiring today. I have to take a look at that to make sure that the indicators that I was given by a good friend in the South Island, Murray Thorne, to see if they're going to work. I'm not too sure whether it's a switched live or a switched ground on the bike, so we'll have to just have a look at the wiring diagram and work it out, just to make sure. But I'm pretty confident I can make it work, but I just need to get my head around it. Where are we now? Right, Springy 2112. In the 80s, I had a Nissan Cherry Europe GTI. Nice. With the Alpha engine. Wow, I didn't know that. Apparently, there's only 5 left in the UK now. If only we knew then what we know now. Yes, you would definitely still keep it, wouldn't you? Be worth a fortune. I didn't know they had the Alpha engine in those. That must have been something to do with Nissan producing the cars within Europe and having to use a certain percentage of local market parts. That's one of the stipulations when they build a factory, usually we are within that area. But they normally get massive government grants towards it as well, because of course they're providing employment. I think that was the case at the Sunderland plant for sure. Now then, Simon, one of the daft things I made was a £2 coin sized bit of brass with a 5p pressed in the middle. Make people double take, lol. Just take spare filters. I'd not wash one. No. Good. We're all on the same page there. I think you've got some pretty clear advice on that one. Nut. You need patience too to lace up wheels. You do. I actually enjoy doing it. I don't do it very often, and when I do, I have to really plan my attack so I get all the spokes, you know, in the right order, in whether they're on the outside or the inside or whatever. But when it comes to wheel truing, I've trued up lots of bicycle wheels over the years. When I was working for Bike Barn, I actually got pretty good at it. you know, adjusting them so you get less, you know, drop minimum run out, and also you've got the lift as well. I did do a video on it years ago, I think, do it on Ben's TDR, doing a wheel on that. It wasn't the best video, to be fair, and I don't do enough of it to be to come across professional, so to speak, on the videos. Steve, thank you, mate. This one is getting a little bit low. It's probably got about 6 or 7 flies left in it. But yeah, it's not bad. It's the cheap stuff, so I might get 2 cans for that. Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. Top bloke. Oh, hang on. Scroll up. Hang on. Mike Adams. If any of you get bored, you can always come over and help me reassemble a whole front linkage, ball joints, etc. on my big Dodge. There you go. There's a job for one of you. Roger Heaps. Isn't there a road gearing chain and sprocket set available for the DR200 to make your trip a little more pleasant? There is, most definitely. I could do that. However, some of the gravel roads that I'm going on, and don't forget the bike's going to have not a lot of gear on it, it's going to have some gear on it, and it's going to have me on it. I'm not the lightest person in the world. But yes, there is some pretty steep, gravelly sort of climbs and bits and pieces as well that we're doing. So having a relatively low first gear will be a big advantage. We're going to be doing Molesworth or possibly Rainbows track, which is a very long track in the northern part of the South Island that sort of runs north-south-ish. And there's some pretty deep river crossings on that usually, and some quite steep sections. So the bike has to retain its off-road ability. So it may just be that top speed on the road without revving the nuts off it is going to be about 80 k's an hour. 70 to 80 k's an hour is what I'm going to estimate at. So yeah, it's going to be a very long trip. When we did a similar trip a few years ago, my brother-in-law Danny rode a Kawasaki Sherpa. I think that was a 250, but it wasn't really much more powerful. And yeah, he could get it because he's only a little lad. He could get that to about 110 on the stop. So 65, maybe 70 mile an hour, absolutely flat out. It was certainly the slowest bike in the group by far. Ben's TT250R Raid was much more powerful and a lot faster, even though it was a heavier bike. And Ben was a heavier rider, and he had more gear on. So yeah, we'll have to just suck it and see, won't we? I might, do a couple of little test rides before the big trip, obviously, to, iron out any glitches and bits and pieces. And it might be at that point that I decide to tweak the final drive gearing a little bit. But good point, Roger. Thanks for that. David Lane, 3000. Put the engine at TDC, but the cam marks did not line up. Could this cause low compression? Well, the cam marks should line up. Are the marks on... Well, that's not so good, is it? So, got the engine at TDC, and the cam marks didn't line up. Okay. So, what could cause that? Well, realistically, you're a tooth out on the timing chain or timing belt or whatever it is. They need to line up. If you're only like half a tooth out and it's a timing chain, then the chain is worn and you need a new timing chain. So, and it definitely will affect engine performance. What vehicle is it? How many miles has the bike done, or car, whatever it is? It'll also affect poor starting as well, starting ability. Thanks again, Steve. Mike Adams, what's the price difference between rebuilding the wheels and replacing them with new one or aftermarket wheels? I don't think you'll be able to buy a complete aftermarket wheel for a DR200, certainly not here in New Zealand. You'd have to buy the components. Now, it just so happens that I've got a couple of rims here in stock. So I've already got those. Yes, I'd need to buy a spoke set from Suzuki if I went genuine, but they're going to take weeks, if not months, to get here. So, and I'd rather go for stainless spokes anyway if I'm going to do it. And of course, this new guy, Ken, can supply those. So there's no delay in supply. So I reckon he'll probably turn the wheel around within, pardon the pun, within a week to 10 days. Should be good to go. Because I've got two rear wheels, I'm very much inclined to get the second one done at the same time. Or when I pick the first one up, I'll drop the second one off and get that one done. Because for the trip, because I've got a support vehicle, which would be quite nice, Mrs. Mechanic's going to drive the ute, I will be taking a spare front and rear wheel with me, just in case, you know, if I get punches and stuff and it's pouring down the rain, it's easier just to throw a wheel in at that point and then fix the puncher on the dead one at a later time. So yeah, and then obviously once the trip's done, I'll have a good set of wheels for the last bike, which is a yellow DR200 road going bike, which is outside in the rain at the moment. Yes, so I have a plan, and it's not cheap. I mean, to get one spokes and a rebuild, I reckon is going to charge me probably $300. I'm going to pitch in at $300, but we'll wait and see. Now then, where are we? Bum, 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 bum. Scrolling back. But it is a very good point there, Mike. For dirt bikes and stuff, you know, like Ben's WR and there's a lot of the KTMs and stuff, you can buy. There's quite a wide range of aftermarket wheels, and they're very well priced. They're probably $800-900 upwards for a pair of wheels. Obviously, you've still got to buy tires, rim tails, that kind of stuff. But the rim, spokes, and the hub come built up, and they usually have wheel bearings and stuff in them already. Probably not particularly good quality wheel bearings though, if you go for one of the cheaper brands. But still, the cheapest option for sure. And I've checked the hub. The drum isn't particularly worn, so we should be okay. Right, nuts. Mike Adams would lend a hand if you were close. Jim K, don't forget the O-rings. Yes, whatever you do, don't forget the O-rings. Mike Adams, Nut Barsden, I'd supply the beer lol. John Nuttall, Simply Diagnostic Steve, it's the remote timer app and still in warranty. I think they have 3 others to fix the same thing in 9 weeks. Wow, it's the remote. Nut Barsden, David Lane 3000, you might be 180 degrees out. Yes. But even then, yeah, I mean, how much do they not line up by, you know? Good point, though. I overlooked that very simple one. Simon, speaking of chain and sprockets, got an odd request yesterday. Was asked how much I'd charge to count the teeth on a front sprocket. What? I think he was a bit scared to take the front cover off. Oh dear, what is the world coming to? If you can't do that, you shouldn't have a motorbike. David Lane 3000, bike is a KZ 1000P 1985 M26.00. What's that mean? Don't get that bit. Oh, mileage 26,000. Well, 26,000 miles. Cam chain shouldn't really be that worn, unless for some it's had a problem in the past. Now then, where are we? So yeah, if it's only a you know a very small amount out, then it most likely is wear in the cam chain. If you can't see the mark, if it's just not there or it's 180 degrees out, then yes, of course, you know you're on the wrong cycle. Springy 2112, David, is it at TDC on cylinder number 1 on compression stroke? Very important. Steve, John, most dealers will refer to factory if they see an undocumented pattern failure. They're probably waiting for a field engineer from factory, and COVID will make that difficult. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. That's basically one of the things that I do in my day job. Jim K, have you seen the spoke wheels that have a urethane applied so they become tubeless? Yes, don't like them. I just Ben's does a lot of this with his mountain bikes, where he makes a spoked wheel tubeless. He raves on about it, thinks it's fantastic. The only problem is, once you're out middle of nowhere and you do get a puncture, then it makes it a lot more difficult to do the repair, I think. He tends to revert back to putting a tube in to get him home. So you sort of still end up carrying all the gear with you anyway. I don't know. Horses for courses probably got a lot better nowadays than they were when they first came out. But I don't mind having a tube. Tubes don't bother me. Tubes can be fixed, easily replaced. But you're right, Jim. It's a lot of people have that now. John Nuttall, hit the like button. Yes, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. That'd be great. Or is it like, comment, and subscribe? That's what James May always says, isn't it? Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Connor K. Don't know about bike washable versus throwaway filters, but dealt with both types on ship auxiliary machinery. Throwaway was better, change out faster, the other less effective after several washings. Thank you, Connor, for that. Simon, if it's 180 degrees out, put your hand on the exhaust. It will suck when cranked. Okay. Seen an R1 like that about 6 years back. Holy crap. Well, hopefully it's not going to bend any valves and stuff. That wouldn't be good. Cool. Right, so we've done the DR200 rear wheel problem, which is going to be resolved financially. Going to have a look at the indicators today because it's stopped raining now. It's pretty cool. So I might even make the next Toolbox tour video today as well. I need to make a couple of videos today, really, and then I can get those edited up while I'm in Auckland next week. I can. So yeah, things are going pretty well. What are we up to? An hour and 27 minutes. We're nearly there. Oh, very cold coffee now. Doesn't time fly with all your comments and stuff? It's brilliant. Jim K. I think they work well with road motorcycle cruisers. This is the sealed rims, isn't it? Yes. I suppose that kind of application is minimum kind of impact stuff, isn't it? Sounds a good idea. David Lane 3000. Thank you. Thanks all. Thank you, David. No, it's a very good question to make, actually. Oh, update on the Myford lathe. There isn't one. I've done nothing with it yet. I haven't. I really need to crack on and get this thing finished. Now, next job on the... In fact, move the camera a little bit. So, we've got the CB750 down there. And you might notice that the headlight, well, basically there's more stuff missing. I've taken off from the forks the headlight mounts. Those and the headlight cowl and the side panels have all gone up to Auckland to get resprayed. Yes. So that's now waiting for that to be done. Obviously wasn't going to spray them myself because I'm not a paint guy and the colour had to be bang on. So I've got a friend of mine, Alan from Impact Cycles over at Henderson, is doing those for us. So they should be ready in a couple of weeks, so then I can get all the front end put back together, because you've got to take the forks out, believe it or not, to get those headlight mounts removed. Absolute ball ache of a job, to be honest. But anyway, we managed it. Craig was down from Tokoroa, and Mrs. Mechanic and the three of us managed to just pull the forks out far enough with the front wheel still in situ. Yes, I know we shouldn't do that. Just to squeeze them out. Obviously, when I do the rebuild, I'll take the front wheel out, take the forks out, and do it all properly. And we've got some new seals on order to go. In fact, I've got them. Hang on, bear with me. Right, so inside those headlight, oh hang on, come back. Yeah, look. Inside the headlight brackets, one fits either side of over the fork stanchions. At the bottom, we've got these sort of little rubber mounts, and there's already 2 new ones of these in Alan's parts kits, and I had no idea what they were until I pulled these ones out and went, I recognise those. But more to the point, the top ones are extremely badly perished. You see there, look, horrendous. So Alan has said, can you order me some of those, please? So I have now ordered those through Bonnie up at Kai Tire Motorcycles. Look at the state of that. That's terrible, isn't it? So they are hopefully starting to begin their journey to New Zealand. Probably unlikely there's going to be any on the shelf here, but they'll be here in a couple of weeks. So once they arrive, then of course the paint parts should be back, and I can do that rebuild, and then connect all the wiring back up, because I can't do the wiring until the headlight shroud turns up, and then I can put the exhausts on, and then I can bounce the carbs. Oh, and Alan wants the wheels taken out because he wants to clean up the hubs. But I can't do that, and I can't take the wheels out until I've finished the DR200 on the hoist. So I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. It's I need 2 workbenches at this point in time, don't I? It's becoming a bit of a problem. Anyway, we'll make it work. Agatha Watson, P. Okay. Springy 2112. I've never kept a vehicle long enough to get the value from a washable type air filter. Oh, air filter? Yeah, you can get those K&M ones and stuff. I think we're talking about oil filters. But yeah, I mean, a lot of ATVs do have the washable foam air filters. Dirt bikes do and stuff. Road bikes tend to have more of the paper filters, don't they? John Nuttall, did you see my email regarding CB ears? I did. I absolutely did. And this, in fact, let's do a little wonder, because the bike's here. I was very, very surprised. Never, ever seen it before. And I'm very grateful you brought it to my attention. So, in this on the top clamp here, look, a factory, they fit a washer between the gap. So there is no, basically, you know, to stop you maybe, I suppose, over tightening the clamp. But unbelievable. And yes, it's on both sides. You see down there, look, there's another little washer just in there. I have never seen that as factory, and in all honesty, if you hadn't brought it to my attention, I would have certainly had to look in the manual to see if it was correct, and I would have assumed that somebody's put that in there and it shouldn't be there. But obviously, I'll leave it in there now. And no, that's not a crack. Oh God, I hope it's not a crack. Holy moly! Oh no! Hang on a minute. Oh no. That's cracked. Oh shit. Oh, gonna need a new triple clamp. That's terrible. Oh, okay, got to give Alan the bad news. Alan, if you're watching this, we have a problem. Bugger. Things go from bad to worse, don't they? Holy crap. That's not good. Yes, we do. Shock. We do need a top yoke. Absolutely. If it's a crack, it was there in the last video. Shit. I need to check the footage. I hope I haven't caused that. But what John's saying there is it was in the last video, which means I haven't. I'm a bit worried now. I'll have to order one of them. That won't be cheap, will it? Hopefully we can still get one. Jeez. Now then, Alan Cook, hiya. How's Holly? Holly is doing just fine. Thank you, Alan. Simon, John Nuttall, did Kawasaki do the same? You need a top yoke, yes. Right. I'm going to look at the footage after the live stream and check out and see if that crack was there. But that obviously is very dangerous and will not pass certification in that condition. So, Simon, some on eBay for UK 60 quid. Oh, it's not too bad, is it? Is that for a new or a second-hand one? It looks to me like they've had a problem with those yokes cracking, those clamps. And maybe that's why they've decided to put that washer in there to try and prevent over tightening. Why is it cracked? I don't know. Maybe somebody's over tightened it at some point in the past. Maybe it's just being tightened up and, you know, too many times, and the flex has caused it to just finally give up. That's not good at all. More delays. Thank you, Simon. I'll check it out. I'll also price up a new one. John Nuttall, as you looked at the ears, so sorry, Andy. Hey, no, not at all, John. You've brought that to my attention. I hadn't spotted that. When we're doing the forks, dropping the forks down on whatever night it was last week. I think it was the Monday night, Bank Holiday Monday evening. Craig came around. I hadn't spotted it. I mean, I wasn't really looking for it, to be honest, but I hadn't spotted it. It's all John's fault. Well, no, it's not. Honestly, if I'd taken, well, I mean, obviously I've got to take the forks out again to fit the cowls, the headlight mounts. Maybe it would have cracked off completely. Who knows? But not good. Not good at all. A bad point to end a live stream, isn't it? Or is it a cliffhanger? I don't know. I'll hopefully have more information for you for next Sunday. Okay, crew. Well, I think we're about there. Thanks both to Steve and Peter. Was it Peter? I think it was Peter, wasn't it? Where is it? There, yes, Peter Brown. Thank you both for the super chat donation to the channel. Very much appreciate it. Steve, I will definitely be getting some more fly spray. I absolutely detest flies in the workshop. They bug the crap out of me. They really do. So it's going to be a bit of a wiring day today. Can you weld it? No, absolutely not. I don't want to get involved with that kind of thing. If that was to fail on the road, then, you know, it could cause a very serious accident. And plus, here in New Zealand, it would be classed as a repair to a steering stroke suspension glass steering component. And basically, you'd have to get it certified, which I think most people were reluctant to do anyway. And the cost of certification is way too, holy crap, 416 euros new. Bugger. It might be a second-hand one then. Thank you, Simon. I feel even worse now. Especially if I've got to pay for it. Steve, on the bright side, I've got a calendar to take pride and place in my new place. Awesome live stream again, Andy. Have an awesome week, mate. Chat. You were awesome. Thank you very much, Steve. And on that note, oh, Simon's given me a part number, 5323140500, part number. Right, I will ask Bonnie. I'll flicker it up. I've got to flicker an email anyway later on today with some more parts that I need for the DR, so I'll include that. So thank you again for all your support from all of you. Really appreciate this chat this morning. It's been great fun as always. I'm going to get some work done. And, well, I will see you next Sunday. Oh, and watch out. There are some more videos that are going to hit the channel in the next few days. I've already scheduled them. So have fun watching those. And I'll see you in a few days. All right, crew. Take care now. Cheers. Over and out.